Welcome back to another week of Instigating with Clarkey and Ryan, brought to you by our friends at Conway Furniture, Highway 86, east end of Listowel. Our friends over at Larry Hudson, Chevrolet, Buick, GMC, and of course the Listowel Squash Courts. Ryan Drury alongside Clarkey. Very pleased to be joined on a very, very busy day, trade deadline day, by our friend from Two Goalies, One Mike, Mr. I'll hang up and listen himself, Duane Steinel. Duane, how are you down there in Buffalo, my friend?
Not bad. Not bad at all, Jury. I know we just had you on our show a little bit earlier, but I'm indifferent today. I'm not angry. Wasn't really sure what to expect as a Sabres fan. As a hockey fan, I'm livid at the fact that we had to deal with another trade deadline of the Vegas Golden Knights just circumventing the cap in front of us all and laughing in our faces while they do it. It drives me absolutely insane. But I mean, in terms of the Sabres, I wasn't expecting a ton. I expected Eric Johnson to probably get traded for what the return was, around a fourth or a fifth round pick. Kyle Okposo, I'm not much sure about this kid that they got that's in the AHL, but a seventh that turns into a fifth if Florida wins the cup, and then the big Casey Mittlestadt deal that kind of caught us all by surprise. We heard rumors about Casey, and we all know he wanted to sign here. He wanted to be a part of the solution, but I don't know. Kevin Adams is actually live right now with the media. I'm sure he's talking about that, but I'll probably he'll probably clue us all in on those conversations with Casey and why that decision was made. But, I'm extremely happy with Bowen Byram.
Yeah, absolutely. And, producer Adam, who's a Colorado Avalanche fan, will be sad to see Byram go, but I'm sure he's finally, happy to fill that two center void. Yeah, that was one of the bigger ones. We'll dig a little more into that one for sure. But Clarkey, what's your impression? We kind of got Duane's feelings there. Are you feeling similar about, Vegas jumping in at the last minute and swinging the real big hammer? They get Tomas Hertl. Are you feeling similar about that? And what's your overall impression of deadline day?
Yeah, for sure. Feeling similar about it. I mean, hey, the league has made the rules to fit the Vegas Golden Knights ever since they came in. So why not do it a little more? But the Maple Leaf standpoint, you know what? Connor Dewar. I don't even know this guy. Who is this guy? Tenacious penalty killer, fourth line center, maybe. David Camp going out, maybe. Who knows? But not the greatest day, I don't think, in Leafland. Kyle Dubas pretty much left bare shelves for portrait living, so he didn't have a lot to deal, and he wasn't going to deal the Easton Cowans, the Fraser Mintons of the world. Unfortunately, last night, Matthew Nyes goes down with an injury after another suspect hit by Marchand. Who knows if he did it on purpose? Who knows if he slew-footed Liljegren on purpose earlier in the year? But he's a little rat, so who knows? But hey, is this team close? Who knows? We've gone into the playoffs, at least I have as a Leaf fan, the last few years thinking the team was close, and they haven't done anything for us. So maybe this is good. They're going in this year is obviously not a favorite to win.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting, and yeah, the nice situation. We'll see what comes of that, and we could spend this entire podcast talking about the Marchand incident. I don't even want to bother because unless you're Tom Wilson, you don't get suspended for hitting guys. So we'll just move on from that. I am interested though. Here's the thing, and Duane, we've kind of been content sharing this afternoon, jumping on each other's programs. And, we were talking about this on your show with Tim Peel, the former NHL ref. Like, here's the thing with the cap circumvention thing, right? Like, it's a rule that everybody can use. And we've seen a few teams do it that have ended up winning cups out of it, most notably Tampa and, of course, Chicago, and now Vegas for the last couple years. The Leafs are doing it right now. The Leafs are doing it too. So, I mean, when you're in a situation like this, does it look weird? Yes, but I'm okay with it only because if it was my team that was in the same situation, I would want them to do the same thing. And it's available to you if the opportunity is there when you have a guy on LTIR. Do they stash guys on there to make it look like they're injured longer? Yes, but every team that's victimized this, if you want to call it that, has done so. And, your Maple Leafs are doing it right now with John Klingberg. So unless you want John Klingberg to come back and take up $4.51 million of cap space. Yeah, well, exactly.
That's in the rules, so you can do it.
Well, exactly. So, I mean, it's not the Vegas Golden Knights' fault, really, right? You have a problem with the league, and the biggest problem, I think, again, that has reared its ugly head here. And Duane, I'm curious your thoughts on this. Really, is the only reason that anybody is complaining about Vegas being able to take advantage of this loophole again is because the salary cap is so restrictive. And I don't know your feelings. Like I think every hockey fan's on the same page. I hate it. The salary cap's garbage and it's ruining the sport.
I agree. I just it's hilarious, man. It's just like they do it every year. It's like a third year in a row, right? Third or fourth year in a row that they've been involved in some type of controversy. It's mind blowing, man. You know, I know Martinez is on LTIR currently. Hurdle is on LTIR.
And
Mark Stone is on, every year. Mark Stone is on LTIR.
They're starting to get worried about that guy's career at this point, like his back. Like he's had so much work. Like that is that guy, like almost not going to be able to play at some point here.
Like at this point, man, if it isn't truly I'm ready to send an FBI investigator to Vegas. The 2 weeks you had in the deadline, just stick him in Vegas and be like, you need to keep a close eye on going deep undercover and figure out what's going on here, because there's this 2 years in a row, sure, 3 years, like what the fuck, it's nuts. Like I was, dude, when that was announced after you left us on Two Goalies on Mike, I was in shock. I didn't know what to say. I'm like, not again. They just got Noah Hannafin yesterday.
Yeah,
they're complaining about this yesterday. How can they afford Noah Hannafin with that payroll? And then they go get and San Jose only retained 17% of his salary. How is this possible? Somebody explain to me how this is possible. How?
Yeah, it's so bizarre. This is why we have Duane on, because he's passionate, and Clarkey, I know you feel the same way, but yeah, again, this is an issue with the league. Like I know everybody is pointing at Vegas specifically because of how they have done it using this rule over the last number of seasons here, which ultimately led them to a cup championship last year. But again, I just think that the league, it's so bizarre because like I still get excited for this day, and I'm happy with what my team did. Like I'm happy with what the Capitals are doing and the direction they're going in. But I know for a lot of fans, they're not. And the reason why they're not is because they want there's still that intrinsic hope, not even belief. Hockey fans are smart. It's not even a belief your team's going to go get some big piece. It's this hope that, maybe it's there. And it's quelled almost every single year. Yeah, did we see some big deals? Yeah, but not monster deals. Like, I don't think any of the players dealt today or in the last couple of weeks are going to be the main reason why a team wins or doesn't win, right? And it's not like the NBA where you see these massive trades all the time. There seems to be like 6 or 7 star players move every year at the NBA deadline, even the NFL deadline too. So it's not the sport, it's this league. The NHL constantly does stuff to shoot itself in its own foot over and over. It's like, the game's great. I love how the game's played. It's exciting. It's fast. They're scoring. It's great. There's a lot of star players to watch, but they take away so much avenue for excitement and intrigue with this cap system, Clarkey. And I know that we've all hated it for a long time.
For sure. But you know what? The teams handicap themselves too with the no movement clauses, the no trade clauses.
Oh my God.
It's ridiculous. The league, like, we would be way better off without these. Like, I'm just looking down on Cap Friendly and the Leafs. Matthews, no movement. Tavares, no movement. Mitchell, Marner, no movement. Willie Nylander, no movement. Tyler Bertuzzi, no movement.
Riley.
Max Domi, no trade clause. David Kampf, no trade clause. Kelly Yarncroke, no trade clause. Riley, no movement. Brody, no trade. Like, why are you handicapping yourself? Like, you're handicapping yourself with all this stuff too. Yeah, the players want that stability. But hey, I would have loved to see a blockbuster today with the Leafs involving a Riley or a Marner. I really would have, but it's not going to happen. So you don't even get your hope.
I don't even know that the no move thing that so many players are getting. Yeah, like no disrespect to him, like a guy like David Kampf. You're like, you're a fourth line player. You're getting a no move. A big reason, in my opinion, why so many players demand it is because a lot of them probably feel, I know they feel, that it's one of the last avenues of power that they have in the league with this cap system in place, where a lot more of them, like David Kampf, makes 2 something, I think, in a non-cap world. He could probably go to the Leafs and say, I want 4.5, and they would just give it to him if they wanted to keep him on the team because it wouldn't matter. There's no cap. Exactly. So a lot of them do it as an avenue of retaining some small smidgen of power and
I can understand like a modified no trade where the guys give 5 teams they don't want to go. Fine, no problem. But to have a no movement clause or like complete clause,
they're getting roasted for it in Ottawa. They're getting roasted for it in Ottawa, right? Like Vlad Tarasenko, who's been a great player his whole career, Stanley Cup champion, really good player, still an effective player, going to that Florida team. Like, my God, they loaded up. You look at that and you're like, they signed him to a 1-year deal and they gave him a no move clause? Are you high? Like, that's atrocious. But you sit there and go, well, if we don't give it to him, someone else will. 100%. So it's like a multi-layered problem with this salary cap. I hate it, and I'm sick and tired of the league catering to the Arizona State Sun Devil Coyotes. I'm completely tired of them trying to keep them and the Hurricanes and other small market garbage. Like, oh yeah, we want to go back to Atlanta. Are you out of your mind, Gary? Like, talk about a league constantly putting a loaded gun to its head. Like, it's so ridiculous. I can't take it anymore. Let's talk about some of the trades.
That's the problem. It's not going to change unless
it's not. And
dig in the next negotiating for the CBA and get something out of it. I know it'll never happen, but I wish the fan had a voice in the CBA's agreements.
Never going to happen. They don't care.
I know it's never going to happen. I know they don't.
They don't care about us at all. Yeah, well, they should. I really wonder just, where all this is going, because like deadline day, it's just, I don't know. It just doesn't feel like an event anymore. Every now and again, something big will happen, but it's pretty rare. And
yeah, I agree. There was days, Ryan, where I would want to take the day off and just watch TV all day.
We used to. I used to skip school.
Not anymore.
Dwayne, I know you did the same thing. Like,
not anymore. Yeah. Like all the deals are done beforehand for the most part, leading up to the deadline. Like the Leafs did, they got Lyubushkin back and they got Edmondson. How's Edmondson, by the way? You're the capital. You've seen this guy play. The Leafs needed a big stay-at-home, tough defenseman. Did they get one?
Yeah. Like he's I told you in the text thread, he's pretty meat and potatoes. Don't expect anything flashy out of him. He's just going to go out there with the big shovel and he's going to move things out of the way.
Yeah.
And that and for a cheap price too. So Dwayne, I'm curious. Let's really dig into it. We talked about it at length on your show. I think one of the biggest moves that we've seen leading into deadline day is the Mittlestadt deal. Obviously, Mittelstadt's a guy that's homegrown, developed there, 8th overall pick. You flip him for a former 4th overall pick in Bowen Byram, and he showed pretty well in his first game as a Sabre. How you feeling about him?
I love Bowen Byram. Again, I was a little more ignorant than I would like to admit when we made the deal. I knew partially that he, was an offensively minded defenseman, but I didn't realize how gritty and how much jam he does have in the defensive zone. And, people love to hate those buzzwords, but it's true. Like, below the dots in front of his own goaltender, he is not afraid to give you a couple chops, cross-check you. He doesn't get caught puck watching. He, if you're going to stand in front of the goaltender and Bowen Byram's on the ice with you, he's going to make you earn every second in front of that blue paint. And whereas I think with Buffalo right now, just you don't have teams that are afraid they're not afraid. They'll go to our net, with ease and just not take any type of punishment. With Byram, I think that's a dynamic that he's going to add to this lineup, and I hope it resonates with the rest of the defensemen when they see him doing it. Like, well, he's doing it. He's not getting penalties. He sticks up for his teammates, and that's what I like. I want to say that's what I like most about his game, but I love that about his game. And then just how calm and poised he is with the puck. When that first pass out of the zone, he's not afraid to headman the puck out of the zone. He's an immaculate skater. Good vision offensively, not afraid to join the rush. He went to the net a couple times last night. He was like in the goalies grow. You know what I mean? Like, I love that. I love that you're willing to take those types of chances because we need that right now. I know people like say some Sabres fans like, well, we have enough guys like him. Like, yeah, offensively, sure, but they don't have like the total package at 22 that Bo Byram currently has.
Duane, you mentioned it earlier, like sort of came out of nowhere. That was probably the closest thing to a hockey trade we saw all trade deadline, like two players getting moved for each other. What precipitated the Mittlestadt? Now you've had time to digest it. Why do you think they moved from him?
I think I don't know. It could have been money. He's coming to. He's got 2 years.
So it wasn't a hockey trade.
Colorado.
We're back to money.
No.
But I mean, for me, it should have been on money because you have so much cap space in Buffalo. It's insane. You have players who did have down years this year: Tage Thompson, Dylan Cousins, Alex Tuck. These guys are all signed to very, very team-friendly deals. I mean, like Tage Thompson had 47 goals last season. He's making just barely over $7 million a year. Like I've said it time and time again, and I'll still say it because I think Tage played most of the season hurt. That's going to be a very Nathan McKinnon-ish type of contract. His last contract that he had, that he was like criminally underpaid for what he was given the Colorado Avalanche before he signed this latest deal. But I mean, the money should have been an issue. So I don't know, man. I think maybe Kevin Adams just sees the wealth of riches that we have down the middle between Matthew Savoy, Yuri Kulik, Noah Ostlund, Isaac Rosine. You have 4 guys, 3 of which could potentially make the jump to the NHL next year, at least 2. And then you have Peyton Krebs, who we as Sabres fans have complained constantly about how he's been, forced into this 4th line role into a checking line with Okposo and Gergensons or Eric Robinson. And while it has helped round out his game from a defensive standpoint, there's so much untapped potential there that we've seen from him. He is very gifted offensively, or can be very gifted offensively. He has good vision. He is a good playmaker. He doesn't have that scoring touch, but he thinks ahead. He's good at distributing the puck in the offensive zone, and he goes to net. He's a little shithead, man. He's been in more fights than anybody on this roster, and he's like just under 6 foot. You know what I mean? Like, he's tiny. So I love that about Peyton Krebs. And this is an opportunity for him. He has the rest of this season to show management that, I think Kevin Adams was saying it in his meeting with the press right before I came on air with you guys, that they're going to let him, give him this opportunity to show them what they already believe in with him. And, worst case scenario, they're going to reevaluate that in the offseason.
Duane, give me your rivalry perspective of the Leafs. You see them doing anything this playoff?
No.
Okay, why? What are they missing? I mean, these things.
Goaltending. I know Wool. There's some high hopes there for him, but that's a hell of a position to throw him into. Have him be the the workhorse for the playoffs. I mean, Samsonov, he beat us the other night and he shows flashes, but and I mean, Ryan, all about Samsonov from
do I know about Samsonov?
We've heard it all.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. You need a goaltender that can go on a run for you. Could they get an Aiden Hill performance from Wool? Sure, why not? But I don't know, man. I think, and I forget who said it this morning when I was listening to a lot of live coverage. The Leafs tend to depend and lean way too much on their top 6. They need more contribution from the bottom lines, and like that Dewar deal today, the fourth line, probably fourth line center. Like maybe that's them trying to address that and maybe add some more, ability in that bottom six role. Because here's the thing, man, and as good as Mitch Marner is, as good as Alex Nylander are, if you shut down Austin Matthews in the playoffs, game over. It's game over. Like you're not going to win. You're not.
No,
You can't win without that guy playing at the highest level he can play at. And if you shut him down, it's over.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that the thing with him, and he's having another prolific goal scoring year, and he had a brilliant year last year. The thing with him that's hurt his, I don't know if I want to say reputation, but the overall story of his career so far is that he has traditionally been unable to ratchet it up in the playoffs and be the best player on the ice across a 7-game series. He really, really has. And until he does that, because it can't be John Tavares. Even when they brought JT in, it was always going to be about, what does Matthews do for you in the spring? And yes, obviously you need everybody pulling on the same rope and all those old adages. Yes, we get it. The cliches, whatever you want to say. But you do need your best players to probably 3 or 4 times, like in moments, not even across whole games, 3 or 4 times in a series. Someone said this to me a few years ago. There are moments in a series where there's 3 or 4 of them where your best guy has to completely grab a game by the horns and do something that no one on the ice can do but them, and convert on it positively for the team. And Matthews has had a lot of problems doing that. So, and that all factors into the other guys chipping into and opening up a little more opportunity for him at times. Yes. We'll see if the Domi and Bertuzzi acquisitions can mean something in the playoffs. But as I look at them right now, like Clarkey, I'll spin it back on you. Like, how are you feeling about the Leafs right now? Like, I think they have more depth.
Thankfully I'm not a general manager, because I probably would have traded everybody this year. But
you can't. They have no move
very,
clauses.
very inconsistent, obviously, this year. You're right. Like 2/3, like out of their 3 goalies, if you throw Marty Jones in there, 2/3 of the goalies have been on waivers this year. Like that's not a good sign, typically. And then your other guy has been injured more than half the year. So no, not a good sign. And like, honestly, it looks as though, if you take the last 2 weeks into account, Samsonov's emerging as the number 1 again, which can't be good news. Like, I don't think Wall had a good game last night in Boston. You got to stop a wrist shot from the blue line. The whole team didn't look good last night.
The team was junk. That might have been their worst performance I've seen.
I agree. Now, okay, the flu's going through the team. Maybe. I don't know. That's what they're saying. Hey, it happens, Ryan. It happens all the time. But no,
with the Leafs, it does.
Shut up. I'm not thrilled with this team going into the playoffs the way it is right now. But as I said, I've been thrilled the last 5 years going into the playoffs, and nothing has materialized out of it. So maybe this year, with them going in as an underdog and no one counting on them, maybe they.
Yeah.
Because I think there's some guys there. Like, there's no question. Last year they got hit out of the ballpark with Florida. They are tougher. I don't think there's any question they are tougher. Bertuzzi and Domi, who have had so years, I think are really starting to hit their stride right now. And they are guys they brought in for the playoffs. So
yeah, well, Bertuzzi beat the wheels off that poor kid in Boston the other night.
Yeah, but at least he waited until the guy dropped his gloves.
No, I know.
It was a very
I'm not
fair
saying
fight. He kept telling him to drop the gloves. And that's what Bertuzzi's got to do. That's what he has to do.
Make no mistake. I'm not trying to say anything about it was dirty. He just took him in a fair, versus you, and he beat the wheels off that kid. That was something.
Signed him to an extension today. I guess they were happy with the fight.
Vitek Vanacek was traded.
Vanacek got moved, eh? I wondered, because Jersey brought in Jake Allen, and now you got a logjam there with Vanacek and Schmid.
Where'd he go?
Vanacek, another former Capitals guy. Where'd he end up getting moved to, Duane?
Right now, I want to say San Jose.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes a lot of sense. Well, now I'm seeing that the Devils acquired Kakinen for Vanacek. So it's a goalie swap. Okay.
Yeah.
And they'll send Kakinen down. They'll send Kakinen down.
We actually traded one of our AHL goalies, Devin Cooley, to
Okay.
This is coming after 3 p.m. Obviously, we traded Devin Cooley to the San Jose Sharks for a 7th-round pick in 2025.
So San Jose's taking some flyers on some goalies.
Yeah, San Jose is making a couple goalie moves. Capo Kakinen to New Jersey for Vitek Vanacek, and also, yeah. So we're like a third team in that deal. So,
okay, interesting.
Yeah.
There you go. I want to ask you guys. Yeah, Vitek, another former Capital that just hasn't. It's been tough. It hasn't really worked out for him.
He definitely rents houses. He doesn't buy.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
He can't afford to buy.
Yeah. He's got renter's insurance. No question about it. I want to ask you guys, because, like, again, there's not a lot of massive deals here. Yeah, the Hanifin thing beforehand, Mantha going to the Knights as well, the Hurdle bomb right before 3 p.m.
Yeah.
Toffoli was probably the most significant player, in my opinion, that moved. I really like Toffoli, and the Jets have really put their stake in the ground. I think Kevin Shoveldayoff might end up being GM of the year. The patience to not trade Hellebuck and Scheifele, re-sign them and go, you know what, we're going to go right back at this. Make that Pierre-Luc Dubois trade, which is looking unbelievable. Pierre-Luc Dubois is an absolute ghost, and he might cost Rob Blake his job. Especially after giving him that deal. So I don't want to dig too much into many of the trades, because, again, a lot of them at face value just don't feel like major moves outside of Toffoli, really, in my opinion. So what I want to ask is, and Clarkey, I'll start with you here. Is there a team that you're surprised didn't do more today? And don't say because I know you're going to say the Leafs.
The team I instantly thought of was the Rangers.
I thought the same thing, Clarkey.
Yeah, the Rangers. Yeah, I thought they would have done something. I heard they were in on some, but
they got Roslovic.
I heard, but yeah, okay.
Yeah, they got Roslovic.
Nothing earth-shattering. I was down at the game actually last Saturday, Ryan. It was my first game since I got dismissed from working for the team after 14 years. So that's my first game back, 7 years later. So
did you get a video tribute, Clarkey?
I did, but it was private.
Everybody gets a video tribute.
But I decided, you know what? I'm just going to splurge. Joe Bowen, my buddy, you know that, posted on Facebook that he had 2 tickets available at 10 in the morning, and I called him up and I said, Joe, can you hold those for 5 minutes? He's like, yeah, no problem. So I called him back after I made the arrangements to get off work early and everything, and went down to the game. And I tell you, it was probably the best game of the year. It was an awesome game.
Yeah, that was a good one.
The Leafs did dominate a lot at times, the Rangers. And I'm just surprised that team didn't do anything. If Shesterkin is average, they're not going anywhere. He's got to be great for them to advance in the playoffs, I believe.
Yep. Yeah, I completely agree. That was your deadline day deal, getting those Leaf tickets, go down to that Rangers. That was an exciting game in overtime.
Right. Saw my buddy Jimmy.
Yeah, absolutely. Duane, does a team jump out at you? That you're surprised maybe didn't do more?
I thought the Rangers would do more.
Yeah,
I
think we're all on that page.
Mm-hmm. Toronto, I thought, would try to find a way to. I know Trey Living was, kind of put between a rock and a hard place after, like you guys said, Dubas exited. Didn't leave him with a ton of, draft capital, to say the least. But, like, thought they would at least. Maybe they were in talks for a goalie. I don't know. I really don't. But I don't know what the cost for a Jacob Markstrom would have been. Or, I'll pose this question to you. Like, would it have been more worth for you as a Leafs fan to maybe trade one of the bigger pieces on your team for a guy like Markstrom, who is as talented as he is, for a playoff run, given how top heavy the Leafs are right now? Would you have felt more comfortable in the playoffs having to sacrifice one of those guys? Tavares isn't going anywhere because he's never going to leave Toronto.
No. But who are you talking? They're not they're not going to be able to convince anyone to waive their no trade. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Potentially, yeah.
That's the problem. That's the whole problem, is they're not going to convince anyone to waive their no trade. Sure, Markstrom would have been a great addition. I was hoping they would get Markstrom, Hanifin, and Tanev at one point. Like, just go big or go home. And if they could ever have convinced like a Morgan Riley or someone like that to move on, then I would have done that in a heartbeat.
Like maybe
trade him. Tanev wants to come here next year. He's a Toronto guy. But I guess it's hard in a way, Duane, when a guy. Now, I don't know if this is true or not, but if a guy's from Toronto, he might want to finish off his career here. Do you give up a first-round pick to get Tanev this year, or do you just wait for the offseason? I mean,
I hope he comes in the offseason. I agree with that.
Right.
Would you have sacrificed like Marner, so to speak? Because I just can't see doing Nylander how he's really blossomed to a superstar. But like a guy like Marner for maybe Markstrom and fill in the blank from Calgary. Maybe it's Mackenzie Weegar. Maybe it's do you make that deal?
I as Ryan will tell you, I'm not a huge Marner fan. So yeah, I would have. But I'll tell you,
what's your name? Say the nickname. Say the nickname,
Mr. Fancy Pants. I tell you one thing though, being at the game Saturday, I really did actually grow a real unbelievable appreciation of how that guy can create space around him and pass and skate so fluently, and he was absolutely incredible that night. And I sort of changed my mind on him just seeing him live one time. But then last night he's got an open net. Duane, he had an open net and he didn't shoot the puck because he wanted to be fancy, go around the back of the net and give it to Matthews for his 55th. Just shoot the puck, Mitch. Just shoot the puck. Quit trying to be so freaking fancy. It drives me crazy. Absolutely.
It would drive me crazy too. It would drive me crazy too, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the other thing
he's got Kuznetsov syndrome.
Yeah, and he got moved today too to Carolina. I decided this year I was going to go to one game, and I was this close to driving to Buffalo, and seeing them get whomped 9-3. So thankfully, I picked the right game to go to. It probably cost me a little more at the end of the day.
Yeah, it did.
I picked a way better game. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I wonder as well, is there a team that you guys feel way better about after today, or conversely, way worse about? Or is there a team that jumps out to you, Duane?
I mean, I don't think Boston really did anything significant, right? I mean, they got Maroon, Big Rig, but I mean, outside of maybe an instigating bottom six role, I mean, it's hard to feel worse about Boston, let's be real, but they didn't really do anything crazy significant, at least that I saw. I mean, Colorado got better, Vegas got better, Carolina, for most intensive purposes, got better with getting Gensel. I mean, maybe Pittsburgh. I'd say Pittsburgh didn't do much. I mean, Michael Bunting's nice. I like Michael Bunting, but I don't know, in terms of I hate that those guys have no trade clause. Like Malkin should be gone. Letang should be gone. Well, I hate the fact that they have no movement clauses because just how much better could have that made this deadline? You know what I mean? Like how much more fun that deadline would have been. It's just about if guys like that were available. But they had no move clause. GM's got to cave to that. At this point in their career, when they sign those contracts, why? Why are you handcuffing yourself like that? Why? Like, okay, then move on. If again he goes somewhere else, like we'll take the cap space. We'll rebuild. We'll still continue to build around Crosby.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah. Kyle Dubas has, I would argue, maybe the hardest job in the NHL.
I think so, and I think he's
rebuilding that is going to be. They have nothing on the way outside.
And signing Carlson
Yeager,
right? Like that.
Terrible. Like they're saddled.
I said it right when it happened that was a terrible move for them because they were going to be hard pressed to make the playoffs anyway. And
I thought the return for Gensel was awful.
Yeah. So the team that I think did a really good job are the Calgary Flames.
I think so too.
They're not better today per se, but I think they did a good job. Like, it sounded like Hanifin was tying their hands a little bit, saying he just wanted to go to Tampa. They worked out a deal with Vegas, of course, but
Matt Dumba going to Tampa. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So, congrats to Matt Dumba and Jason Zucker for graduating college. and moving on from Arizona. They graduated today. Congrats to them. I hope Gary is at their first game with their new team to give them their diploma.
I know.
They're going to be thrilled just to be in a real dressing room, let alone
God almighty, what a joke that is. We can't do that today. We can't talk about Arizona today. I can't do it. I can't do it, guys. I'm hot enough as it is. I think I agree. Like Colorado, I think is a team that I think that they did the best job of anybody outside of, getting Toffoli, which is just a bolster to what Winnipeg's doing. They're already so good. I don't know that they needed Toffoli, but it's incredible to get him in there. I think Colorado did the best job of addressing their true biggest need. Outside of, if you want to say, oh, they could have added a goalie. We don't know about Georgiev. But I understand that. But it was, ever since Kadri left, it's been, we need that 2C. And if Mittlestadt keeps progressing and keeps on playing the way he has in Buffalo this year, I think they're the team that did the best job of addressing their biggest glaring roster need. So I'm feeling good about the Avs. Producer Adam, congratulations.
Play in Colorado, man.
I think he is too. I think he is too.
Dude, I'm not gonna say like if they win the cup, he might be up there for Conn Smythe voting, but he is that type of playmaker. He has a great shot, filthy hands. Like I think he is gonna thrive in that system under that coach for sure. And in that role as a second line center, I'm not sure if it's going to be Mikko Rantanen or if it's going to be who's going to be lining up next to him. But like whoever it is, man, they're getting a guy who has great eyes, can distribute the puck, and he can finish.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see what they do. I think for now they'll probably toss him with Nichushkin and in the playoffs, if you believe, maybe these Gabe Landeskog rumors. Man, oh man, that would be something. Adrian Dater, who's been covering the Avs for 30 years, he was on your show with me earlier there, Duane, and that was kind of what he threw out there. What if you threw him out there with Nichushkin and Landeskog in the playoffs? And that's your second line? Holy
and Landeskog's a guy, he's a big body. He'll protect a guy like Casey, like, you know what I mean? Like, and in that West Coast style of hockey, like, where it's a lot heavier game, like, Casey's probably not going to be used to playing that as often as he's about to. So, like, having a guy like Gabe on the ice with him, that's going to provide him that type of protection and give him the time and space he needs to get to move the puck. And it's going to be fun to watch, man. Like I said, like Colorado's my team to root for now in the West, and Florida's my team to root for in the East because of Okposo and Reinhart. So, unfortunately, my Sabres, 13 years in running. Yep. And given a miracle, they're done. So,
yeah.
What do you think's worse, not making the playoffs in so long or losing in the first round for so long?
That's a hard question. That's a hard question.
Yeah.
I've been on both sides of it. Now, the Caps have never gone that long outside of when they first joined the league, and it wasn't 13 years, mind you, but they've never gone that long with missing the playoffs. But there was a string of time where they were losing in the first round a lot, and I think because in Duane's position, I think when your team is so bad for so long, you get resigned to going, okay, I'm waiting to be surprised. Right? You're waiting to be surprised, right? And like the Sabres fans are not there right now because of the step they took forward that last year. And it looked like, oh, they might contend. And I still think they have a core there to potentially build around and do that. They got to do it properly. But when you make the playoffs all the time and you get bounced early and you're full of big star players
and high,
there were a lot of years where I was throwing sweatshirts around my family room and maybe I broke a dinner plate or two to the chagrin of my dad at the time when the Caps were getting bounced in the first round. I was the Montreal year in particular. I was an unhappy gentleman. You carry it around with you for like Clarkey. I know you do this. Like you care so deeply about a team. You walk around with it for like 2 weeks before you start feeling better. At least I used to.
Oh, for sure.
The night Montreal put them out and the two back-to-back overtime losses to Pittsburgh. One of them wasn't in overtime, but in 16-17, I didn't sleep that night.
Mm-hmm.
I was so mad. And I think that's worse. The seething anger that you walk around with for 2 weeks, it's taking years off our lives, guys. Like, let's be honest. Like the love we have for these teams.
One of my good buddy Steve, producer Steve, you know him. He's in one of our chats.
Yes, producer
Chris.
Steve.
His band Snakeland, they have a song. It's called is it Not Another Adult Contemporary? And I use that chorus for the end. Well, not the chorus, but the ending of that song for the outro for my podcast. And they say it's paying homage to Buffalo in sports. And they say it over and over again. Maybe next year, one more time, and that's what it is, man. Maybe next year, one more time.
Absolutely,
it's an anthem. It literally is an anthem, and not just for the Sabres, for the Bills, and it's a never-ending cycle of mediocrity. At least with the Bills, they give us.
Are you doing your laundry? Have we interrupted your laundry or something?
Dwayne
has
had it.
I was staring at it, and I just it's on the floor, and I had to put it in the basket. So
hey,
this is what happens.
I got a Leafs tattoo, and every year I say to Ryan, "Okay, I'm going to get it. I'm going to get that." There's always next year banner underneath it. I haven't done it yet.
Might as well, man, because they're
always. I'm waiting for the Stanley Cup champion logo on it, but
yeah, I have one of
those. We know you do.
I have one of those. Yeah,
nice. I know.
Quickly before I let you go. Yeah, quickly before I let you go, Duane, because, this is a story that's starting to emerge, and it sparked a lot of conversation up here in Canada on TSN's panel today covering Trade Center. Obviously, Sidney Crosby, he looked pretty cross last night after the Gensel deal, and he had some pretty pointed comments when he was asked what kind of message that sends, and he said, you'll have to ask them, referring to the management, and then the scrum was over. Do you guys, I want both your takes on this. Do you think it would be best if Sid moved on from the Penguins in the summer and said, look, I don't want to be around this. You got to move me. And if so, where is the best place for him to land?
Deal him to Edmonton, baby. Deal him to Edmonton. Find a way. Could you imagine him? Oh, could you imagine?
I never even considered that.
Him and McDavid. Oh my God. People keep saying him and McKinnon because they're buddies. Fuck that, man. Go set him with the greatest player in the world. Could you imagine them two lifting the cup together? Fuck yeah. Sign me up 100 times over.
Oh, I
get him to Edmonton, man. I don't care what it costs them, what they have to give up. That would be like the old and the now. You know what I mean? Like, could you imagine?
It would be pretty cool.
Could you imagine?
It would be cool. Clarkey, what do you think? Where should Sid go?
Well, I don't know where a list came out of 3 teams he says he would have agreed to trade with today. I don't know where this list came from. I don't know if this was a made-up list or what, but the 3 teams were Vancouver, Colorado, and Toronto. Why? I can understand Colorado 100%, but like the Leafs should and Dubas knows this team. If maybe he picks up the phone and says, hey, Mitch, let me talk to Dad. Let me talk to Paul, because Paul controls your life. We know that. And I love talking to Paul Marner because he's such a nice guy.
Yep.
Waive your no movement clause and let's get Sid in here and trade Mitch. I'd do that in a heartbeat. Then he can play with the best player in the world, Austin Matthews. No problem.
Okay. That's an interesting one too. I think, and everybody will hate this, but it would just be fun. It would just be really, really funny. It would be funny if he came to Washington.
He's not going to Washington, man.
That's not my pick.
It would be funny.
That's not my pick. Could you imagine that? Him and Ovi? One last run for the Sheriff. No, it's Boston. Keep him in black and gold and line him up next to his other buddy, Brad Marchand. Brad Sneaky Shoulder Marchand and Sid. Remember, they were a combo at the World Cup, and it looked pretty darn good. I think that would be, and the rest of the NHL would hate it. And that's why I would love it, because it would be so spicy.
But to answer your question too, yes, they should. They should move on from him.
Yeah,
they want to rebuild the team. Everybody. There's one guy they can trade to really make a statement for the future, and that's him. Unfortunately,
it would be sad if he comes out and says, "I want to stay here." No one has more right.
Yep.
there'll be a domino effect too, because if you trade Sig, you think Letang and
100%.
are gonna stick around. Fuck no, they'll be like, well, trade me too. I'll wave my new. Let's get out of here.
You could rebuild that team in 2 years if you traded those three guys.
100%.
I agree.
100%.
It would have to be this summer, though, I think.
Yep.
All right, man. It's been, I don't want to say an exciting day. It's been an interesting day. And it's been great to have our buddy Duane on. Duane Steinel from Two Goalies, One Mike. Mr. I'll hang up and listen. Duane, thanks so much for doing this, my friend.
Not a problem, man. Thank you for having me.
All right, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll wrap up with maybe some final trade deadline day thoughts. And it's that time again. Real golf picks on the show. The Arnold Palmer Invitational. We will review our teams next here on Instigating. Back to wrap things up here. Trade deadline day on Instigating with Clarkey and Ryan, brought to you by our friends at Conway Furniture, Highway 86, east end of Listowel. Our friends at Larry Hudson, Chevrolet, Buick, GMC, and the Listowel Squash Courts. Ryan Ryan back here with Clarkey. Thanks to our buddy Duane Steinel from Two Goalies, One Mike. Follow that show. They're great, man. Duane, he's so passionate, man. It's I feel bad for him. The Sabres have got to help those fans out at some point here. My God. Clarkey, what's going on with our friends? Wasn't a very hot deadline day.
No.
But something that's always hot, the deals at Larry Hudson's.
Say it.
It's hot. The deals are hot.
Deals are hot at Larry Hudson's. For sure. Lots of trucks in stock. We have Costco back on SUVs. We have some rebates, which we haven't seen for so long. We have great lease rates on some trucks. 0% financing on some trucks. We're getting back to where we were, and it's a great sign. And the deals are hot, as you said. The deals are hot. So come on in. If you have a rep, see your rep. If not, come see Clarkey. Ask for Clarkey. It'll be great. And we'll hook you up with a new vehicle.
Absolutely. Go see our friends down there at Larry Hudson's. Of course, remember, Squash League starting up fairly soon, and Al over at the Listowel Squash Courts has got the new gym set up for the gymnastics classes as well.
Yeah, I gotta
check them
get
out
going.
online.
Sabby and
you got to get going.
10 minutes. You got to get going.
Our friend Steve Sabrin. Okay, well, we'll get you out of here. He's waiting for you at the Listowel Squash Courts. I'm sure Al will be there to take in the action, okay? Now, really quick, we're back to our golf picks. Arnold Palmer Invitational, obviously. So we've got to have our picks. Producer Adam's got our picks in, and we'll review them quickly here. Doigie's not on with us, but we did do our pick off on Wednesday night. I am rolling with Victor Hovland, Mr. Shoffley, Fleetwood, and the original Whiskey Mitts, Bill Williams Zalatoris. Clarkey rolling with Rory McIlroy, Spieth, Matty Skechers, Fitzpatrick, Sammy Bird Dog Burns, and Ian, our buddy Doigie. He's rolling with the new Whiskey Mitts, Scotty Scheffler, working the mallet for the first time. He's got the mallet out for putting. Vic Alberg and Cam Young, and Hideki Yellow Shirt Matsuyama. How about that? We'll see who comes out. Am I going to go 4 in a row to start the year?
It's still wide open. It's absolutely
pretty even.
Open. Yeah,
it's pretty even. I am in the lead.
The last pick of the draft with Whiskey Mitts there is leading right now. Like of all our players, he's the best so far. So
Whiskey Mitts is getting it done for me. Yes, he's doing a good job. Yes, and I'm leading. Am I not? As we record this, it's a dangerous thing to say, but 4 in a row. Okay, now listen, Clarkey. It's time for our favorite segment. It's time for our favorite segment here. Our friends at Conway Furniture. Okay, we're all geared up here. It's the couch potato of the week. And as per usual, I'd like for you to go first. And as I understand it, you have like quite an extensive setup for yours this week.
Well, I do, because as you know, playoffs are underway in Junior C around town. And Fergus Whalers swept Walkerton in the first round, if I'm not mistaken. Am I right or wrong?
Yep.
Okay, but here's the deal. There is a prognosticator out there who went a perfect 4-0. Okay, predicted all 4 games. And it's my grandson, Riker. And I want you to see, we're going to go through. So before game 1, let's roll the tape. My daughter Jenna asking him who he thought was going to win game one. Roll it.
Bovey.
Bovey's going to win?
Yeah.
I think so too.
Go Bovey, go. Go Bovey, go.
So Brad Bouvier, is that how you say it?
Bradley Beauville, yes.
Yes, so that was after game one. Before game one. Here it is before game two.
Who's going to win the game today?
Bovey.
Bovey. All right.
Say, I think so.
You think so?
Yes.
Okay.
So Bovey again, they win game two. Before game three, Riker was asked once again by Jenna who he thought was going to win.
Bovey, go. Go, Bovey, go.
Who's going to win today, buddy?
Bovey.
Bovey?
He's the best player.
He's the best player.
And he is the best goalie.
Aw.
Best
Bovey going to
goalie.
win today?
So he's going to be the best goalie. Again, they win after a prediction by Riker. Guess who his best player is, Ryan. Anyway, and then before game four, roll it.
Coolness.
Who's going to win the hockey game today?
Bovey.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Because he's a good goalie. But Walkerton's not.
So Bovey's a good goalie and Walkerton's not. Again, that's Riker. So we'll have to get his predictions for round two. But as you know, Ryan, my son-in-law, there's a picture of Ryan and Riker at the game, hanging out at the boards. He has a great time going to the game. He's working on his skating, though. If we could flip to the next, Jenna, who's a skating coach, is having a little trouble with Riker as he's down the ice on this picture. But he's having a great time. He loves going to the games. He's the
figure it out.
Bovey, and congratulations to the Fergus Whalers for winning round one, and good luck in round two against Hanover. Is that right?
Yes. And
We'll have
hey,
to get
congrats
predictions.
again. Congrats again, Jason Byram and the staff are there, an expansion team to have a year like they have. It's really, really incredible stuff. And Bradley went, man, I think Riker's right. He is their best player. And as a matter of fact, we might have to get Riker some legal representation, get him an agent or something, because I think that I might need a new co-host on this show with the authority that he was speaking with in the back seat there. I think that you might be getting a little past it, Clarkey, and in a year or two, I'm going to have to call Riker.
Sure. Yeah. Riker and Carter could maybe host the show. You'd be out too.
Absolutely. Listen, I want to quickly say, I know I've given the guy a lot of guff before my couch potato real quickly. Clarkey, I have to do this. Thank you, Yevgeny Kuznetsov. Thank you very much for that. Thanks. If we could just if you want to just take a look at the logo there.
Is that actually him? Is that him? Is he the...
He'll forever be the Eagle. The Eagle has left, but in Washington, D.C., the Eagle has always landed. And in 2018, that was Kuznetsov. Best of luck in Carolina. I'm sad to see him go. Just didn't work out. Yes. Speaking of not working out, my Conway Furniture Couch Potato. Look at that sharp hat. Yes, instigating. Hey, you want a shirt? We got sharp new shirts here.
Sharp new shirts.
Hey,
toques.
Hit us up on social media at Instigating Pod. We'll get you a shirt, Really quick, speaking of not working out, my couch potato is Christopher the Cowardly Lion Clark. Producer Adam, please put it up. A couple weeks ago, Chris Clark and Ian Doig tried to grease me. There he is. There he is in his true form, the Cowardly Lion.
That's a great picture. Thank you. That's good.
These two guys.
You can't use me as your couch potato.
These two guys tried to grease me out of doing picks at the Mexico Open and thought, we'll finally get one over on Ryan. Both of their teams DQ'd. They did not make the cut. And that's what you get for being a cowardly lion. And you're going to lose again this week at the Arnie Palmer. Christopher Clark is my couch potato. Thank you very much, producer Adam. Two good photos there too. That was Chris in with his mask on, and then that on the other side was Chris in his true form, the Cowardly Lion from what's that, Wizard of Oz, 1930 something. There you are.
There you go. You're Toto.
I don't know. Well, we're not in Kansas, that's for sure. All right, everybody.
All right.
It was a fun show. Duane Steinel, thanks. Remember, follow the guys over at Two Goalies, One Mic. You can watch this show. By the way, we'll be back on Whiteman TV. The channel problems are fixed. Next week, we'll be back. You can watch the show Friday nights at 8, Sunday nights at 9 with our friends on Whiteman TV. That's
In
channel
HD,
6 for
I
Whiteman
hope.
subscribers.
In HD.
It will be HD, and it will be back on the air. You can watch there. Channel 6. We debut on our YouTube channel Friday nights at 9. Follow us on social media at Instigating Pod. You can find the podcast version on all your favorite podcast apps. Thanks to our friends at Conway Furniture, our friends at Larry Hudson, Chevrolet Buick GMC, and of course, Listowel Squash Courts. We'll be back next week with more instigating. And remember, folks, be a winner. Don't be a cowardly lion.